Before we start, let me ask you something. What would you do if you found out your entire marriage was a lie? Not just cheating, not just an affair. I'm talking a whole second family with kids, a house, family vacations, everything. Because that's exactly what happened to me. And what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you think you know about trust. Hit that subscribe button because this story is absolutely insane. You think you know someone until you find their second phone. I'm talking burner phone, secret contacts, the whole 9 yards. And what I discovered on that phone? It didn't just break my heart. It shattered my entire reality. So I'm a 32-year-old woman, been married to my husband Jake for 8 years. We have 2 kids together, a 7-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. On paper, we had the perfect life. Nice house in the suburbs, stable jobs, family vacations every summer. Jake worked in sales, which meant he traveled a lot, sometimes for days at a time. I never questioned it because, honestly, why would I? I trusted him completely. But about 3 weeks ago, something weird happened. Jake left for work in a rush one morning and I heard this buzzing sound coming from his nightstand. I opened the drawer thinking it was his regular phone that he forgot. But instead, I found a phone I'd never seen before. A cheap Android with a cracked screen. My stomach dropped immediately because who has a secret phone unless they're hiding something, right? My hands were literally shaking as I tried to unlock it. And here's the thing. The password was our daughter's birthday. Our daughter's birthday. That detail still messes me up because it means he was thinking about our family while maintaining this whole other life. The phone opened, and I saw the messaging app first. There were texts from someone named Rachel. The most recent one said, "The boys miss their daddy. When are you coming home?" The boys. Plural. I scrolled up and my vision literally started going blurry. There were photos. Photos of Jake with 2 young boys who looked exactly like him. Photos of Jake with a woman, Rachel, who was beautiful and smiling, holding his hand. Photos of them at a birthday party, at a park, doing normal family stuff. I'm sitting there on our bedroom floor, and I felt like I was going to throw up. There were hundreds of messages going back years. I started reading through them and piecing together this nightmare. Jake had another family, an entire other family in a city 2 hours away. Rachel thought they were married. These kids, who looked about 4 and 6, called him Dad. He spent every other week with them. All those work trips, he was playing house with his second family. The messages were so casual and domestic. Rachel texting him about parent-teacher conferences, asking him to pick up milk, sending him photos of the boys doing homework. She had no idea about me, about our kids, about our life. In her mind, she was his wife. In her reality, Jake was just a devoted husband who worked away from home sometimes. I found out her full name from the phone and did what any person in my situation would do. I went full detective mode. I found her social media and my heart broke even more. Her Facebook said she was married to Jake Morrison. That's my husband's name. Her profile was filled with photos of their life together, family photos, vacation pictures, anniversary posts. She'd written these long captions about how lucky she was to have found her soulmate, about what an amazing father Jake was. I looked at the dates. They'd been together for at least 6 years. 6 years of living this double life. I did the math in my head and realized he'd started this whole second family when I was pregnant with our son. While I was home with morning sickness and swollen ankles, he was out there starting over with someone else. The worst part? Reading through those messages, I could see how much effort he put into both families. He remembered everything. Both kids' school events, both women's favorite flowers, everyone's medical appointments. He was living 2 complete lives and somehow managing to be present in both. It would almost be impressive if it wasn't so absolutely devastating. I spent hours going through that phone, and every new detail felt like another knife to the chest. There were bank statements I'd never seen before. He had a whole separate bank account funding this second life. I calculated the money and nearly passed out. We'd been struggling to save for our kids' college fund, and meanwhile, he'd been spending thousands supporting another household. I found lease agreements for an apartment where Rachel and the boys lived. He was on the lease. His name was literally on legal documents for this other family. There were insurance papers, school registration forms with his signature. This wasn't some casual affair. This was a meticulously planned double life. But here's what really got me. I found a folder of photos on the phone. Birthday parties for all 4 kids, Christmas mornings, first days of school. And in every single photo, Jake looked genuinely happy. Not fake happy, really truly happy, like he loved both families equally. That somehow made it worse. If he'd looked miserable or guilty, maybe I could have understood it as a mistake that spiraled. But no. He looked like a man who'd found a way to have everything he wanted. I called my sister because I was literally hyperventilating. She came over and we went through everything together. She kept saying, "This can't be real," over and over. But it was real. We found evidence of 6 years of systematic deception. 6 years of him kissing me goodbye and driving 2 hours to kiss another woman hello. 6 years of him tucking our kids into bed and then FaceTiming his other kids good night. My sister wanted me to confront him immediately, but I needed a plan. I took photos of everything on that phone, every message, every picture, every document. I forwarded key things to my email. I needed evidence because I knew this was heading straight to divorce court, and I wanted full custody of my kids. Then I did something that might sound crazy. I texted Rachel from my own phone. I introduced myself as Jake's wife and asked if we could talk. She responded within 5 minutes, completely confused. She said there must be some mistake because Jake was her husband. I sent her a photo. A wedding photo from my marriage to Jake 8 years ago. The 3 dots indicating she was typing appeared and disappeared like 10 times. Then she called me. We talked for 2 hours, and I'm not going to lie. It was one of the most surreal conversations of my life. She was as shocked as I was. She'd met Jake at a work conference 6 years ago. He'd told her he was divorced with 1 kid. He'd shown her photos of our daughter, but claimed his ex-wife was difficult and he barely got to see his child. That's why he was so committed to being present for the boys they'd have together. Rachel had never suspected anything. Why would she? Jake spent consistent time with her. He stayed over multiple nights a week. He took the boys to soccer practice. He showed up for her. In her mind, his work just required him to travel, and she'd built her life around that schedule. We compared notes, and the level of detail in his lies was honestly insane. He'd told me he was allergic to shellfish. He'd told Rachel he loved seafood and they'd gone to sushi restaurants. He'd told me his mother was dead. Rachel had met his very much alive mother 3 times at family gatherings. He'd created 2 entirely separate versions of himself, each tailored to what each of us wanted and needed. Rachel was crying on the phone, and despite everything, I felt bad for her. She was as much a victim in this as I was. Our kids were innocent in all of this. 4 children who were about to find out their dad was living a massive lie. I asked her what she wanted to do, and she said she needed to confront him in person. I agreed. We came up with a plan. The next time Jake was supposed to go to Rachel's place, which was in 3 days, I would show up too. We wanted to confront him together so he couldn't spin different stories to each of us. Those 3 days were the longest of my life. I had to act completely normal around Jake while knowing everything. I watched him play with our kids and wondered how he could compartmentalize like this. How could he read bedtime stories and help with homework while maintaining such a massive deception? The day finally came. Jake left for his supposed work trip. I waited an hour, got my sister to watch my kids, and drove to Rachel's address. My heart was pounding the entire drive. When I got there, I texted Rachel that I was outside. She let me in, and we waited. Jake showed up 30 minutes later. He walked in with groceries, calling out that he was home. He turned the corner into the living room and saw both of us sitting there. The color drained from his face. He literally dropped the grocery bags. For a solid 10 seconds, he just stood there, frozen. Rachel spoke first. She asked him who I was. He stammered something about me being a colleague, but I cut him off. I told him to drop the act because we knew everything. We'd compared notes. We had all the evidence. There was no talking his way out of this. What happened next, I wasn't prepared for. Jake didn't deny it. He just sat down on the floor and started crying, like full-on sobbing. He said he never meant for it to happen. He'd fallen in love with Rachel while still loving me. He couldn't choose, so he'd convinced himself he could make both families work. He said he loved all 4 kids equally and couldn't bear the thought of being a part-time dad to any of them. Rachel asked him how he could do this to us, how he could lie every single day. He said it had started small and then snowballed until he was in too deep. By the time he realized how unsustainable it was, years had passed and he didn't know how to come clean without destroying everyone's lives. So he just kept going, hoping somehow it would all work out. I asked him the question that had been burning in my mind. Did he ever feel guilty? He said every single day. But then he'd see one of his kids smile or hear one of us laugh, and he'd convince himself that what he was doing was worth it, that he was providing love and stability to 8 people who needed him. In his twisted logic, he was doing the right thing. Rachel told him to get out. Just get out of her apartment and never come back. She said she couldn't even look at him. I told him we'd be filing for divorce and that he could communicate through lawyers from now on. He begged us both to let him explain more, to understand his perspective, but there was nothing left to say. He'd made his choices, and now he had to face the consequences. Jake left, and Rachel and I just sat there in shock. We ended up talking for hours. We realized we had a lot in common, similar values, similar sense of humor. In another life, we probably could have been friends. We decided to stay in contact for the sake of the kids. They were half-siblings, after all. None of this was their fault. The next few weeks were a blur. I told my kids that Daddy wouldn't be living with us anymore. My daughter cried for days. My son was too young to fully understand. I filed for divorce and requested full custody. Jake's lawyer tried to argue for split custody, but once the judge heard about the double life and saw the financial deception, things didn't go well for him. Rachel filed for sole custody of her boys, too. She also discovered that because they'd never been legally married despite what she believed, she had some legal protections. Jake had forged some documents which opened up a whole other can of legal worms. The financial situation was a nightmare. Jake had been draining our joint savings to support both households. We had way less money than I thought. Rachel was in a similar boat. He owed both of us years of honest disclosure. Both of our lawyers are going after him for everything. The hardest part has been explaining this to people. How do you tell your parents that their son-in-law had a secret family? How do you tell your kids that their dad has other children they never knew about? My daughter asked if Daddy loved the other kids more than her, and I had to reassure her that wasn't true while being furious at Jake for putting her in this position. I've been in therapy trying to process all of this. My therapist says what Jake did is a form of psychological abuse. The gaslighting, the manipulation, the sheer audacity of maintaining 2 families. It's affected my ability to trust anyone. I second-guess everything now. I look at couples in public and wonder if they're hiding secrets too. Rachel and I have actually become friends through this nightmare. We take all 4 kids to the park together sometimes. They're adjusting to being siblings, which is actually kind of beautiful to watch. They didn't ask for any of this, but they're bonded by it now. Jake is living alone now in a small apartment. He gets supervised visitation with all 4 kids, but none of them really want to see him. The older ones understand what he did and they're angry. The younger ones just know that Daddy doesn't live with them anymore and they're confused and sad. I found out through mutual friends that Jake is in therapy too. Apparently he's being treated for some kind of compartmentalization disorder. His therapist thinks he created these separate lives as a way to avoid dealing with deeper issues. Honestly, I don't care about his reasons anymore. Nothing justifies what he did to us. The divorce is moving forward. We're splitting assets and it's messy because he hid so much money. My lawyer is confident I'll get a fair settlement, but it's taking time. Rachel is dealing with similar legal battles. We joke darkly that at least we have each other to vent to because who else would understand this specific brand of insanity? People keep asking me if I saw signs. Looking back, maybe there were small things. He was very protective of his phone. He had a lot of work trips. But honestly, nothing seemed that unusual. He was attentive when he was home. He never missed important events. He was a good dad and what I thought was a good husband. That's what makes this so devastating. If he'd been obviously neglectful or suspicious, maybe I would have seen it coming. I've had to restart my entire life. I'm the sole provider for my kids now. I'm looking at our finances and trying to figure out how to make this work. I'm explaining to my daughter why we can't go on the vacation we'd planned. I'm watching my son ask when Daddy is coming home and not knowing what to say. But here's the thing. As awful as this is, I'm also kind of relieved. I was living a lie without knowing it. Now I know the truth. It's painful and it's messy, and it's going to take years to fully recover from, but at least it's real. I'm building a life based on truth now, not on the fantasy Jake created. Rachel feels the same way. She told me she'd rather be a single mom with the truth than a partnered mom living in a lie. We're both working on rebuilding our lives and our sense of self-worth. We're both learning that we deserve better than what Jake gave us. As for Jake, I honestly don't know what he's feeling. Part of me thinks he misses the double life. He got to have everything without having to choose. Now he has nothing. Both families hate him. His extended family is ashamed. His co-workers found out and he left his job. He lost everything because he tried to have everything. The kids are in therapy too. All 4 of them. They're processing the betrayal and the confusion. My daughter drew a picture the other day of 2 houses with Daddy in the middle looking sad. It broke my heart. These kids didn't deserve this. They deserved a father who was honest and present, not one who was physically there but emotionally divided. I don't know what the future holds. I'm taking it one day at a time. Some days are okay. Some days I'm so angry I can barely function. Some days I cry in the shower where my kids can't hear me. But I'm surviving. Rachel is surviving. Our kids are surviving. And honestly, that's more than Jake deserves to witness. If you're reading this and something feels off in your relationship, trust your gut. Check the hidden places. Ask the hard questions. Don't let someone steal years of your life with lies. You deserve honesty. You deserve a partner who chooses you completely, not someone who's dividing themselves between multiple lives. As for me, I'm done with Jake. I'm done with the lies. I'm focused on my kids and on building a life that's authentic. Rachel and I are even talking about moving closer to each other so the kids can see their siblings more easily. We're turning this nightmare into something resembling a functional blended family, just without the man who caused all of this chaos. And you know what? We're going to be just fine. Better than fine, actually. Because we're free. So that's my story. 1 hidden phone, 2 families, 6 years of lies, and a truth that changed everything. If this resonated with you, drop a comment below sharing your thoughts, and make sure you're subscribed because trust me, the stories only get crazier from here. Have you ever discovered something that completely changed your reality? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the person sleeping next to you is a complete stranger. Stay safe out there.